I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head, constantly thoughts jumbled around, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative. I don't wanna get lost in the sedative. Gotta show them what I got, I'm competitive. You know I'm about to go off, I won't let them win. I'll take a stab, I wanna chase the bag. I wanna weigh, I can change all the things I lack. I gotta face the facts, I got a taste in that. Got me obsessed with the rest, I got an itch to scratch. Slowly now, I'll give up everything. Daunting though, if I could see my dreams, make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything to make one a reality. Don't let go. I'll make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything to make one a reality.
I just wanna find a way out, sick of the venom in my brain. Running from the past, wanna escape my pain. I just wanna be a better person, I deserve this. I just wanna break these chains. Always destined for greatness, true to myself, I never fake it. Seen too many once that I so they get famous. And when I say the truth, most really can't take it. In spite of everything I've been through, I'ma make it. Fake friends, but on my downfall is toxic. Day one, started to outlaws for profit. Now all I do is write verses, no talking. All I do is put the work in, no option. This was everything I ever wanted. Created a legacy off of me, just being honest. And the fake ones hate, but it's all to no avail. They wanna see me lose, but you know I never fail.
I'll give up everything, daunting though, if I can see my dream, make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything, want a reality. Slowly now, I'll give up everything, daunting though, if I can see my dreams, make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything to make one a reality. Don't let go. Don't let go. I'll make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything to make one a reality.
Welcome to the last show of 2024. So it's been a crazy year. I'm not going to do a year in review, but I'm going to tell you this. Things looking up for Mountaineer fans. And I know this is a football show, but if you're a Mountaineer fan, unless you live under a rock, and if you do live on a rock, I'm going to let you know the Mountaineers went into Kansas, Bog Allen, and beat the brakes off, at least for most of the game, Kansas, without three key starters. So, with that being said, that set the tone. I did the thumb for the show and thought about the premise for the show even before the upset. And it proves the point that if you have players that believe in the system, and you can coach a little bit of ball, and I know it's basketball, not football, but son of a gun, it's just anything can happen. So with that, we're going to be very mostly optimistic for about 90% of the show tonight, and then I'm going to sprinkle about 10% because as I was reading a few hours ago, some of the stats from last year's Jacksonville State team, I was blown away, and I will share that with you. But let's get to chat, see who's in here, and start the show off with saying hello to a few people. Kelly McCourt is a regular. Welcome, Kelly. Hope you had a good holiday. If you don't know, Kelly McCourt's always on the Steelers Dynasty podcast, and we had a guy come in, a friend, come in from Steelers Nation, Australia, and I took him to the airport 2 days ago. His flight was delayed. He finally got home 2 hours ago. So it took him like a day and a half. So, Joey, hope you're feeling good. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. It's okay, Golf. Happy New Year to you. 9 wins. We're going to talk about what the ceiling is and what the basement is for Rich Rod. And that has changed since I've read, and I don't want to ruin it, but we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about, see in the chat what everybody's saying here. So owning Oklahoma and Kansas in the same week, this is too much to handle. Yes, that goes in with the battle. Rich Rod is rolling up his sleeves. I'll just get into it. It's an arms race. And we're going to talk about the transfer portal. And it's a little bit jarring, but it's not as bad as it seems. We'll talk about that. But it is an arms race. And Rich Rod wants quality. And he is in a position that he was not in years ago. You can literally go on the shelf and you can try to buy talent. Now, I say try because you might want that particular item that's on the shelf, but you know, someone else might get there first or have a little bit bigger pockets. But the purse strings are open. West Virginia proves it's open for business because of the hire this week. So, Mr. Wren, I can't take all this winning. Yes, that's true. Happy New Year. I hope Santa was good to you. Yeah, Santa was great. Oh yeah, smash the like button. With 30 people in here, smash the like button. So, as I have the Boise State game and Penn State game, I think West Virginia is in just a good spot. Now, the porthole is closed. And, you know, that porthole, my gosh, you sit and you watch it and you literally just lose time. You're just like, oh, this, and it causes so much anxiety. I just don't really get into it until this last day. I went through and read some stuff because it gets so, it's overwhelming. You know, when you hear 11 days ago, Hudson Clement, Trotter, all these guys are leaving. CJ Donaldson. It gets kind of hard to take. I know Rich Rod wants guys with the hard edge, but I'm sure he'd like to have CJ Donaldson. He does have a hard edge, I think. But at the end of the day, Donaldson's gonna go to Ohio State and just be one of many. Instead of in here in Morgantown, he'd be the one and only. And you have like a Thunder and a Lightning back. You know, your Thunder back will be your beefy, third down back, and your Lightning back will be maybe White. But so let's get into it. I'm going to talk about the transfer portal here. Get into it. And we're going to go through each one of these cats and exactly who's where, okay? And it gets overwhelming, but I'm going to go through what I know right now. I wrote it down. I'll take a good drink of Coke before I start reading off these guys. So last count, it was what, 18 or 19? 19. Last year, I think it was 20. Now, here's the caveat. Last year, it seemed like a lot of second string, third string, guys didn't see a lot of time transfer. This year, there was a little bit more of the key players, guys that have seen a lot of time. So we'll go through it right now. First of all, Josiah Trotter. He's moving on to Missouri. Linebacker, had some injuries, was very productive, but I'm sure Rich Rod's going to plug and play. And with the defensive coordinator they got, which we'll talk about, I think they're going to be able to fill those gaps. Linebacker, Trey Latham, he was a good linebacker. Now we have some defensive backs that left that, guard, I can think of the starts. You got Josiah Jackson, Raleigh Collins. I think he maybe played one or two games. TJ Crandall going to Oregon State. which, as you guys know from watching his show, I go to Corvallis for work, and I think Corvallis is like the Morgantown of the West. Great little town. Tight end Will Dixon is going to Rhode Island. Offensive lineman Sullivan Weidman he's committed to UMass. Another lineman, Johnny Williams, is going to Missouri. Now, here is one that is definitely an ouch. Thomas Rumick, 28 career starts, going to Virginia Tech. That hurts. Another offensive tackle, Kyle Altuner. He didn't see much time, not much starts, I would say. I think he played 1 or 2 downs. Committed to Virginia Tech also. Lucas Austin, I don't know where he's going. Justin Terry, another one of the offensive linemen, is decided to move on. Now let's talk about some running backs here. Jalen Anderson is going to be moving on. CJ Donaldson. Ryder Burton, quarterback, is in the transfer portal. Day Farmer, he's going to be going to UCF. So we'll see him, but he's going to be on the other side of the ball. Hudson Clement, he has been the stereotypical blue-collar West Virginia guy. What a great story. And he is going to be moving on. But you never know. He might come back. Traylon Ray. And then there's like a few walk-ons that are going to be moving on. Now, let's talk about who might be coming. Who might be coming to Morgantown? I hear that Jared Bowie. Who else? Warren Singleton. They're both receivers. And, man, that's what I have on my list. And I know, this is yesterday was the last day. There's no more transfers. In April, it opens up again. And I'm hoping that Rich Rod will be able to fill those gaps. But with that, let's talk about some of these guys. Nico's still here. Nico, he's a good quarterback, but do you really think that he's going to fit into Rich Rod's offense? There is a kid from North Carolina. I always get his name wrong. Aaron Nolan. I thought that was like maybe some sort of code name, but that's actually the kid's name. He might fit, but you never know. There's the kid from Louisville, Pierce Clarkson, but Aaron Nolan is actually the gentleman's name, and he recently entered the transfer portal from Ohio State. I'm sure the powers that be, Rich Rod and company, are reaching out, trying to fill that quarterback room with some dual threat talent. So let's go to the chat real quick. Yeah, Tomas did us dirty in that graphic announcing he was leaving. Yeah, he did. Anybody but VTech. Yeah, I think that's what I was. The fact they're leaving to go to Virginia Tech, it's like a very lateral move. And I'm sure they're not getting much more money, but son of a gun. So let's talk to Tim Green. Tim Green, how are you doing? It's so good to see you. I did not do a show last week because it was Christmas Eve. My wife would skin me. Play Let's Go Mountaineer, or definitely Mountaineers definitely looking up. Glad the old coach is back. I think we have a coach possibly of the year on our basketball, if not the Big 12. That was coaching at its finest. I mean, for him to have 3 key players out and totally just curb stomp for 80% of the game, that Kansas team in Kansas. Shoot, that was amazing. So Tim goes on to say Happy New Year, hope all is well, and say hi to Joey Foster. So I want what do I want for the new year for the West Virginia program? Well, it looks like they're, Chad Scott this afternoon, it was announced that he's going to be the running backs coach. And what a fantastic Christmas present for me. What a quality guy. I think Rich Rod and company have realized that he is a huge asset to the players that they want to retain. He has a great relationship with those kids. And if he wants to keep some of those players here, Chad Scott's the guy to do it. I mean, he is a player's coach, but he still, that running back room I think has a hard edge. I know that's the vernacular that Rich Rod likes to use for guys to have some, some swagger, a little bit of nasty dog, right? So, you have guys, even like, McAfee, White, Schmidt, Henry, they all were those guys that were gritty, if you think back. Brown was gritty. The quarterback that was around the same time as Pat White, followed Pat White. Brown played basketball too. So don't let the bottom line this holiday season, don't let the transfer portal get you riled up. Now, I did say that Rich Rod has an evil plan. And I think the Big 12 and the SEC, i.e. Oklahoma, were not expecting the Mountaineers, donors, alumni, fans, to have the money to play with the big boys, to get and pay to pull a coach from an SEC program like Oklahoma, recently a Big 12 program, it just changed the dynamic of the Big 12. Think about it. Think about it if like Oklahoma State did that to Oklahoma. People would lose their minds. And then West Virginia goes and pulls that. I'll tell you, Zach Alley's a good young talent, okay? And he has, history with Venables, but he also has some history with Rich Rod. And the fact that they could pony up the money and sweet talk him and get him to jump over is, I think, a bigger win than if they got a 5-star recruit. Because at the end of the day, it's a business decision for these coaches. And for, a co-defensive coordinator, Zach Alley, to make that move, and for him to think it was a lateral move, when a majority of college football does not think that Oklahoma and West Virginia are on the same playing field, it wouldn't be lateral. And even as a West Virginia homer, I don't think it's a lateral move. However, the number of zeros on that slip of paper would say otherwise. So, Rich Rod 2.0 started a few weeks ago. The ball's rolling. And, the band's getting back together. Chad Scott, Zach Alley. I mean, they're getting some good coaching, a good coaching staff here. Ren Baker's quality. How long does Ren Baker stay in Morgantown? That's the question. How long? There have been rumors swirling that he is a hot commodity. And with the success of our beloved basketball coach, our new basketball coach, I hate to say first-year basketball coach, right? Think about it. DeVries and Kellogg have had huge success. Both Ren Baker hires. Soccer coach is killing it. They were competitive for a national championship. Now, this is a football show. But if you don't think that one feeds the other, you know, guys, if the pipes break in one part of the house, it's going to affect the other part of the house, right? The programs that have good football and basketball programs, the institutions that have both top 25 programs, there's not many of them. And West Virginia is in conversation always for tournament, NCAA tournament, and used to be top 25 finish for football. Think about it. I'm going back. Let's just go back to the early 90s. Okay. And then you had, Beeline come in about the time that Rich Rod came in. And it was a changing of the guard. It was that fresh blood. And you had success. I think 2006, 2007, NIT, big win for the basketball team, 2007. Then 3 years later, 2010, Final Four. You had 2006 or 2007, the Fiesta Bowl win. 2006, it was the Sugar Bowl win. And then the success that has happened since then. Now, there's a little bit of a drop-off here the past few years. But new blood is here. Got a new basketball coach, new football coach. And I hate to say it, but it's cyclic. It's cyclic. I think Alabama, you can only ride high for so long before you start to drop off a little bit. We saw that with Michigan beating Alabama. So, tremendous past few weeks for West Virginia. They did lose the bowl game. But are you really upset about that? I mean, I haven't really talked to you since then. I mean, we talked a little bit before the game, the last show we had, but I'm not. I'm not concerned that West Virginia, the second half, they kind of got the kinks ironed out and looked a little bit more productive on offense. Looked like if they maybe had one more possession or maybe another 5 minutes of gameplay, they could have won, but would have, could have. But let's just think about this. Would Zach Alley possibly be, as a 31-year-old, say he's here for 5 or 6 years? Could he be a head coach in waiting? Is that the carrot they dangled? Possibly. I don't know. I don't think that'd be the case, but that's certainly something to think about or talk about. But I told you I was going to sprinkle a little bit of, put a little bit of salt. Margaritas have salt on the lip, right? Sometimes you get a little too much. I'm going to give you a little bit of salt. If you think it's all roses, it might not be. Now, I'm going to go to the chat here, and we're going to say hi, and then we're going to get a little bit negative. You ready? I say, tack it. Thanks for popping on. Good to see you. Kenny Evans, how are you doing? Yeah, Sooner Nation is not happy. He is very, very, he's a hot commodity. Zach is. Kenny Evans, that is funny. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, they are well paid, compared to, a few years ago. From 2005, 2010, literally rebuilt Morgantown. Look at Morgantown now versus then. So true. That success produced that light blue lot. That used to just be free range. Like, hey, you can come park. There used to be the blue lot, the green lot, and then everybody else, right? They had the little area where the pit was, where all the students got drunk and parked their trucks with the kegs in the back. But that's no longer there. Guys, success breeds success. Negativity breeds negativity. With that, I'm going to breed a little negativity, okay? Not as Lee Corso, who I'm not a big fan of, but he used to say, not so fast, my friends. Not so fast. Yeah, Kenny, they have a hard edge in basketball. They are gritty. There's no other way of saying it but gritty. And I keep going down to freaking basketball, but I'm so excited. How can you not be excited? You know what? It's my inner gold and blue dude, this is to Chris for, rocking the glasses. This is golf clap for the Mountaineer basketball squad. -3 starters. All I have to say is ESPN, why are the Mountaineers not in the top 25? Why? What do they have to do? Eat quarters and shit nickels? Guys, come on. Let's do it. Get next week, Mountaineers, I'm saying it, they're going to be, you go into Kansas and you beat Kansas on they did not lead. I don't think they led the entire game. And you beat them with 3 starters not playing, and you're not going to be ranked? Horse shit. Anyways, let's talk about some negative stuff. Okay. So I was looking at CFB stats. Maybe I should share that I'll share this. I'll share this instead. I keep changing my mind, so bear with me, kids. You know what? We'll just talk about it. Jacksonville State. Yes, Rich Rod's old stomping grounds. Let's talk about it. Guess who started 0-3? 0-3 this year. Come on. It's not that hard. This isn't, I promise this isn't going to be a hard one. Jacksonville State. Rich Rod's team started 0-3. They lost the second game. They got blew out by Louisville. But with that, Trey Stewart was like 9th in rushing in the United States, and they were top 30 in rushing offense. Now, West Virginia was also pretty good with rushing offense, but they moved the ball. And they went on an 8-game winning streak. Okay? Jacksonville State went on an 8-game winning streak after losing the first 3 games. So, why is that important, Shane? Who cares, Shane? What happens if Rich Rod loses? Well, he's not going to lose to Ohio, but Miami beat Jacksonville State, Miami of Ohio, which West Virginia starts. It's one of the first 3 games. I don't have the schedule up, but one of the first 3 games. What happens if Rich Rod lays an egg against Pitt? Are you jumping off the Rich Rod bandwagon, screaming and hollering? If he goes 0-3 and then runs the table with 8 wins, that puts West Virginia in a Big 12 conference championship. I hate to say it, it does. Would you take that? Would you take that? Tim Green, Kenny Evans, Kelly McCourt. Would you guys take that? Loss against Pitt. You're starting maybe, 2-1. Pat Narduzzi's team, the shit Panthers, lost against Toledo in their bowl game. Not Memphis. Memphis is somewhat of a decent team, but Toledo. What would you do? Would you be upset? Kurt Hurley says, spot the ball. Yep, spot the ball. Now, mind you, there are going to be growing pains. Rich Rod, I'm going to talk about that, Tim. Rich Rod had a game, and I've said this on the show many times. He had a game, maybe it was his first or second year, where they lost and I know 13-9 was the score of the Pitt game, but I think it was 13-9 or 9-7 against Cincinnati. But I was furious. I wanted to take my diploma back there, and I wanted to send it back. I was just beside myself. I was working as faculty and staff at West Point, New York at the time. I had to go to every Army game, and that's when Army had lost 22 straight before they won one. So they were horrible. Not good like they are, like Monken has that playing ball now. And I know I go on Army rants thinking they're so good, but they're good, guys. They lost the Navy, but they're a good squad. Okay. Tim, I wonder if we're possibly getting Noel Devine's son here after Rich Rod. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that maybe, but I don't think you're going to give him a lot of NIL money. I just don't think he's not his dad. I know it's terrible, but Noel was just a freak. And I'm sure his son's a great kid. Noel Devine's a good guy. I would love to see him suiting up for the Mountaineers. There was some heat. There was some heat about that. And I remember seeing a picture of Rich Rod and Noel Devine a week later. That was probably an easy call. Heck yeah, I would take that. So Michelle would take a loss against Pitt and then West Virginia rolling off 8 wins. So that would be 10 wins right there, or just 10 wins, a loss against Pitt in the conference championship. I would too. Usually, if it was Penn State, I'd probably say take Penn State and then lose every game after. But maybe that's just because of where I live. But guys, Kenny is right. I see 8 wins. Grade it, guys. 8 wins to C+ or C. Solid C, 8 wins. Anything above 9 wins is an A in my book. I mean, it goes from C to A. There's no B. Right? Maybe a B if they lose to Pitt. It depends on the games. But what excitement. Okay, I had season tickets all of Rich Rod's first tenure. And when Dana came on board, I had tickets for all of I think 2 years. And I'm I'm done with this shit. Okay? I bought tickets last year, only 2, and the justification was I wanted to go to that Penn State game. But my kid ended up playing his varsity football game, got moved from Friday to Saturday because of lack of refs. Long story short, I only went for the first half, which I didn't miss much because it rained like cats and dogs, and Penn State just blew the doors off them. But you guys all know that. But this year, might get 4. And my kids play varsity ball, but I'm still going to want those tickets just because I want the opportunity to go do that. So get down here to super chat here in a minute. Oh, Michelle, you're so you are right. You're right here. I think you're reading my mind. I have to put my glasses back on. Okay. It's a good question. I think they have a better chance of winning a national championship in basketball than football. I don't know what the odds are. I'm not Vegas, but better chance. Better chance. Absolutely. I think it would take maybe 1 or 2 more years of Breeze getting his guys. Eric Flowers. Tim Green, you're spinning wrenches on many pages. Yes, he is. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. Kelly McCourt. Yeah, that would be nice. Okay. Kurt, thank you for the super chat. ESP, Spot the Ball, Hard Edge, LFG, the Wolf Pack. The Wolf Pack. Thanks for the super chat. Kurt. So, Eric Flowers. If you have to bring 50 guys in, 6 wins is solid, 7 or 8 wins, A+. Anything above is astronomical. Eric, I would have to say 6 wins. I would say 7 wins would be okay if that one is a win against Pitt. I don't know. It depends. There has to be a certain mix. You just can't. It's just hard. It's an art, not a science, on how the fans feel after Rich Rod takes the helm. How are you going to feel in August? Rich Rod does that scowl where he kind of like looks like sideways, like kind of like pissed off, like he's going to rip your arm off and beat you with it. That scowl. Like you just farted and blamed it on him, just giving you a stank eye. What's it going to be like as a fan for him to run out there? How are you not, if you're old enough, how are you not taken back to 2007 when they were like in the top 3 and you get goosebumps when he runs out on the field? Combination you got. So first of all, I about crap myself when I saw the pyrotechnics and I saw the light display and I saw just what West Virginia has now as far as the production value. Now you have it hits you in the field, Rich Rod, right? And then Zach Alley's there because he's good looking in. He has a little bit of swagger. He's young. He's the face of the defense. A little bit of hard edge. What are you going to do? I mean, are you going to pee a little bit? I don't know. Kurt says, B-ball first. Absolutely. Rich Rod, first time one. Yeah. Lack of depth O-line is probably right now. Kurt, you're spot on. And I'm trying to keep this optimistic, but it's so early. I mean, we still have that April. That's why I haven't spent time really getting into it with the, like Skyler and, Mountaineer Paul and Coos. I watch them. I love them. I've talked to them occasionally. Haven't talked to Mountaineer Paul in quite a while. But Coos, I think I've talked to Mountaineer Paul once. But Coos, they have it. I don't want to regurgitate what they say. This is a show about, as a fan, what are you thinking? From point of view of someone who's going to be 50, who went to West Virginia, who's lived all over the United States. I've been to games at Auburn. I worked at West Point, so I had to go to all those games for Army. Been to Tulane, been to Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State. Where else? My goodness. East Carolina, Virginia Tech, Penn State. Man, who am I missing? Oh, but Oklahoma State. I mean, I've been all over, guys. I've been Corvallis, I've been Oregon State, Eugene. Guys, I'm a college football fan. I'm not a journalist. So as a journalist, you're not going to get that take. I'm not going to give you stats. I'm not give you numbers. I'm going to give you, this is what Shane's feeling. because based off of what I smell when I'm walking through the blue lot, I smell Old Milwaukee. And yeah, I think that's a pepperoni roll. Yep, that's what I smell. So that's what I smell, and that's what I feel when I go to football games. Because at the end of the day, it's about how you feel. And you feel good when you're winning. And I have not felt good in a while about watching the Mountaineers. When's the last time you felt real good when you sat down, you're like, man, West Virginia's about to do the business on this. You know, they're going to take a dookie on this team. It is over. They're done. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Now, basketball, I turn that on. I'm like, it's going to be a ball game. You expect it to be competitive because DeVries has those guys gritty and getting after. Let's go to the chat. Okay, yeah, Kenny. So Jaheim White might come back. The door is open, but it was a very cryptic message, and I think they're reading into it too much. Some of the stuff they put on their social media. So, guys, you know, I think, you know, before, you know, Rich Rod sat them down and probably had a conversation and said, hey, this is what we can give you. Feel free to take offers. I understand, but I want you here. That's a conversation he's having with these guys. Okay? But at the end of the day, you might love Morgantown. You know, but they're doing what's best for them. And if they don't think they're going to get playing time or going to get that exposure that they want, they're going to move on. So I really don't think, I wouldn't hold your breath on a lot of these quality. They're going to keep a few cats. And with Chad Scott staying and that being announced today, I think you have a better chance of some of these key players, you know, a la Jaheim White staying, okay? So hang in there, Kenny. I feel you. I was looking all today, like past couple hours, trying to make sure I had the latest and greatest. But right now it's just cryptic. So don't fall for any of the clickbait. Yeah, Lathan is visiting Kansas. And Lance Leopold has some juice, okay? Kansas they did not do well the first two-thirds of the season. But he still has that, you know, in Lance we trust. If I was in Lawrence, Kansas, I would definitely feel good about where they're at, okay? Now, Kolanecki leaving was a bigger deal than what Lance Leopold thought because the offense looked anemic, looked sick. Jimmy's and the Joes. Now, that's right, overworked and underpaid. So we got our general, right? It's like MacArthur coming back to the Philippines. I shall return with his pipe. That's Rich Rod coming back. Now he just stepped foot back on the shore. He's ready to do work. Okay, we got the generals. Now we need Jimmys and Joes. We need the ammunition. We need the firepower. We need the studs. We need the Pat Whites. We need those, you know, the Noel Devines we just need the studs. We need those guys that are gonna just knock the dust off that freaking jersey. You know what I mean? Kurt, yeah, Paul's a good dude. Yeah, Eric, that's just it. He went 3-8. But here's the difference, Eric. You don't have the length from the flash to the bang that you had back then. You don't have that. You can go. I watch that show. Any show that's about Alaska, I watch. And, you know, they have to prep. And back in the day, you had like, okay, we got this guy on the shelf. We're going to develop him. And in 2 years, he's going to be thick and rugged. We've recruited him. He's 180 pounds. He's going to be a 220 pound, eating bricks and shitting walls. And he's going to be a stud. He's going to be fantastic in 2 years. You don't have that now. These kids at 18 are built like 22-year-old men because they're eating better. The nutrition is there. They work out earlier. Now, as far as knowing the game, that's the difference. Here's the other thing too. JUCO players, that doesn't count against them. You can get a JUCO player that's just a stud. And that was kind of what Dana did for a little while. Man. Shane, Tim was referring to what I said, Richard. Okay, I got it. Okay. What's Kenny saying? Kenny, any news on players come from West Virginia to what? No. And I was looking for that. See, I have my contact out there is a gentleman named Perry Alfred, and he's an Air Force officer. He lives out in Moore, Oklahoma, and he has a pulse on what's going on out there. And I pinged him, and crickets. I am sure they're worried, but here's the thing. These players have to fit. It's not based off of Oklahoma, or they have to fit Rich Rod's mold. Okay. And, Rich Rod's offense, this is my understanding of it. It's simpler, okay, than Neil Brown's. Neil Brown had he had the same plays, but in like multiple formations, which in my opinion make it a little more complicated. So I think Rich Rod is out there just patiently, just looking at guys, getting his dudes in. Edward Batten, yeah. The O line is going to be young, and that's why I get the O line coach on board. And I don't know. I'm going to do a show maybe later in the week where we'll talk about the O line coach. I don't want to talk too much about it now. Kurt, tired of NB football. Hence, we paid for yeah. Now here's the thing. I'm not down with the billboard game. At the end of the day, he didn't wake up and say, "Man, it'd be good if we just blow the lead against Pitt. If we just shit the bed on that game." I know he didn't do that, but you're getting paid $4 million, so if you get a side of hurt feelings, that $4 million, I can handle that. You can put Shane's, you can put my fat ass, my name up on a billboard, say I suck if I'm getting $4 million. I'm sorry. Right? I'm sure you're all the same way, right? Who cares? Yeah, women's basketball is killing it, right? Women's basketball is killing it. So, Edward, who's big and strong? Oh, yeah. A kid named Young. That Young Bear. Oh, yeah, the kid from, where's he from? Tulsa. Where's that kid from? Young Bear. Yeah, the Native American kid. He looks like a monster. He looks like he could just lay some wood. Yeah, that's right. I was reading about that. That's definitely looking forward to that kid getting there. Yeah, because of the new JUCO ruling, Tarnu may come back and finish at WVU. That would be great, Gary. That would be great. I'd love to have that happen. Man, that JUCO ruling. Just think of these guys. Go to JUCO for 2 years. Go from being like 180 pounds to 210, 220. And then you're a freshman. You got 4 years? Was it 3 or 4 years? Man, that's crazy. 6'3", 310. Man, and he looked like he was athletic, Eric. Yeah, he looks like he could get it. Overworked and underpaid. How lucky are we to have Ren? This guy's straight up wizard. Now, here's the thing. I'm excited about Rich Rod. It took me some time Literally, we were halfway through, like, is this going to happen before I really start getting excited? But I like the Army's coach. I thought because you got to understand, that guy's winning with kids that aren't in the NIL. These are kids that have to get accepted in the military academy, and he is competitive with those players. Now they crapped a bet against Navy, which I was surprised. But Michelle Tarnu is coming back. That would be fantastic. I didn't see. Where'd you see that? Let everybody know so we can read about it. Player name. Yeah, that's right. Young Bear. Yeah. I saw it yesterday. It was posted yesterday. Guys, so here's the plan for the new year in the show. I used to do a Friday show. But when high school football started rolling around and my kids start playing, I was like, I told Joe I can't do it anymore. And we were hitting it on the Friday show. A lot of fun, a lot of chat like this. So Tuesdays, we're going to lock it in 8:30, 8 o'clock. You'll hopefully get a notification, but if you don't, plan on it. Guys, I'm here. I'm going to be here. We're going to chat about the Mountaineers. We're going to chat about Rich Rod and company, talk about old times, talk about new times, try to get the ball rolling again. Because, guys, the great thing about being being a Mountaineer fan is, and why I picked the school, and I talked this maybe last year. It's going to go to Penn State. But I went to Morgantown. I visited the campus. The campus was all right, but the people. I went to pick a school, but I ended up picking the community and the people. That's why I went there, And every time I go to Morgantown, it has that, you get a little bit of butterflies, like kind of you ran into someone, like just that town and the people. Just every time I roll in there, it just makes me feel like you're home. And you might not have been there for 6 months or 4 months or 3 years. And you roll in there and it's like, yeah, there's a lot more fancy chain restaurants. They've cleaned up Sunnyside a bit. But at the end of the day, students are the same, fans are the same, and that feeling's the same. So, if you love Mountaineer sports, don't have to like me, but boy, you're going to love this channel because we're going to talk about it. We're going to be enthusiastic. We're going to throw a little bit of old gold and blue dude pizzazz for Joey and Chris, aka Gold Blue Dude. Sprinkle a little bit of Dale. That's who I was supposed to kind of fill in for. I'm not going to be those guys. I'm not going to be able to fill those shoes, but I am going to be able to share my enthusiasm for the sport. And Kelly can attest to this. Tim can attest to this. I'll be here every Tuesday. So it's community. I want to thank you for tuning in. Guys, there's a lot of moving parts. And with the Mountaineer basketball program looking like it's just coming into its own, and it's just gonna gain momentum and steam, and they're gonna be in the top 25. It's just a matter of time before the football team is in the top 25. I'm excited to see what the schedule is going to play out to look like for home and away games. I'm going to pull that up. We're going to talk about that in January, the schedule. When we get that, we already know what the first 3 games are going to look like. But yeah, let's go to the chat. We'll close it out. Cleaned up Sunnyside, more like they killed Sunnyside. Yeah. Edward, unfinished business. Yeah. I don't know about unfinished business. I just think it's about time. Like I've seen the shirts say unfinished business, but I do like, guys, glossy helmets. I saw, who was that? Shoot. Country Roads that what their podcast had, bring back the glossy helmets. So we're going to bring back glossy helmets, and we're going to have a good one. And no one will fill Wolfman shoes. That's true, guys. I'll see you next year. Have a good one. Lots of love and best wishes. Blue and gold kisses. Have a good one, guys. Take care.